Oh, shoot. That's a better fish. Oh. Oh, that was it. Come on, that was it.
What is going on, guys? Well, today, as we get ready for spring to come in, I want to make sure we touch all bases. You know, the big things we talk about is rods and reels, trolling motors, boats, all that jazz, but we forget about line. This is one of the most important things to make sure you have right, because you got your rod, you got your reel, and your lure. What's in between it? Line. So, without going any farther, let's break down some different types of line and what you're going to want to use. Also, put down below what you like to use and what's your favorite type of line. Let's jump into this video. So, the first type of line I want to talk about is mono. Mono has been around forever, is a staple in the fishing community, and it's just a great all-around line. Now, the biggest thing about mono is it is cost effective. It's not going to break the bank. Also, if you're experimenting with a bait caster and you tend to burn this, try mono. It's way cheaper. It's not going to hurt your wallet quite as much. And also, another good thing about mono is it's easy to tie knots with. You don't have to worry about those big issues like you have with fluorocarbon with tying knots. So it's a great line for a beginner to use because you don't have those issues with knots quite as much. Now, the next thing about mono is also a pro and a con. It goes both ways, and that's the stretch of mono. With mono, with that stretch, it is great if you're using a bigger bait, say like a swim bait between 2 and 4 ounces. And you cast that bait out there, the midway through the cast, everything stitches down and you have a wind knot. Now, with that mono, you're gonna have some stretch. So hopefully it stretches and you still get your swim bait back. Now, with braid, it's no stretch. So you get a wind knot with braid and it cinches down, you know, hey, kiss your swim bait goodbye. Doesn't happen all the time, but it does happen to some people sometimes. That's why it's a pro and a con when it comes to that. Now, let's get into some of the cons with mono. First con with the mono is that it is not quite as strong as fluorocarbon or braid. There is a difference. Those two lines are a whole lot stronger than mono. Now with mono, you may have to replace it just a little bit more because it is not quite as durable as braid or fluorocarbon. So all around, guys, with mono, it's a great line. Great for beginners. And also it's great for a lot of different applications, whether you're fishing for panfish, bass. It has a wide range of applications and it's cost effective. Now, let's jump into the next type of line. Let's talk about fluorocarbon. Fluorocarbon is a really cool line and it has its pros and cons just like mono. But one of the coolest things about fluorocarbon is it is very hard for bass to see it. If you're fishing in a place that has clear water or super high pressure, go with fluorocarbon. It may help you. It's, like I said, super hard for bass to see it, and it is a great line. Next, a really cool attribute is it actually sinks. So if you're fishing like a crankbait and you want to get that bait down a little bit lower, fluorocarbon is a good choice because it sinks and the line is clear. Now, one trick is you actually can have fluorocarbon on multiple lines and say you have 16-pound fluorocarbon, 14-pound fluorocarbon, and 12-pound fluorocarbon. And you can use the same crankbait. That one with the 12 pounds is going to run a little bit deeper. So it's just a different way to get your lures down a little bit deeper when using fluorocarbon. Also, it works well when dealing with abrasive areas. Like if you're fishing a place that has a lot of rocks and tree limbs in it, fluorocarbon does pretty well as far as getting nicks and cuts in it. It's a pretty solid line. And also, it is resistant to a lot of different chemicals. Like if you spill oil on your line, it doesn't mix, kind of like oil and water. So fluorocarbon has a lot of great attributes. Now, let's get into the cons of using fluorocarbon. First off, good fluorocarbon can be somewhat expensive depending on what brand you're going for. Now, just be prepared to spend a little bit more money, but you do get all those nice benefits that I discussed earlier. Second, sometimes you have to deal with tangles in fluorocarbon. It can tangle up sometimes when you're fishing. Next, one of the biggest issues people have with fluorocarbon is knots. The knots coming apart, the knots not being strong enough. Just do homework And there's definitely good knots out there for fluorocarbon that actually work well. So, like I said, every type of line, there's gonna be areas that it works well with. You need to have different setups for different types of line to make fishing better for you. Now, let's get into braid. Braid is probably the most unique line. If you feel mono and you feel fluorocarbon, you'll notice that braid is completely different compared to the other two. Now, with that being said, braid is super thin. The diameter compared to mono and fluorocarbon is way thinner, so if you have a reel that's really small, braid might be a good choice for you because it's so much smaller, you can get more line on your reel. Also with braid too, it doesn't stretch. It's super duper strong. That is one of the biggest perks of braid. For instance, if you're frog fishing, you launch your bait out there and you have a fish blow up, you need to be able to set the hook and get that hook engaged in that bass's mouth. Now, with braid, it doesn't stretch, so you can instantly hook up.
Now you taking
and you
me
want to be able
into
to
the
drag
store.
that fish in. Now, with that, you want to make sure your hook is strong enough to handle that braid line. And with you muscling that fish in, that braid is not going to give. It's just power being transferred. So make sure your equipment, can handle such strong line. Now, one other thing about braid also is too, it floats. That helps too. When you have baits like a whopper plopper or you have topwater baits like a gambler easy, you don't have to worry about your line sagging down and making your bait want to go down with it too. That is some of the great perks of using braided line. Now, braid has a lot of great things, but let's talk about some of the cons. First off is visibility. Out of fluorocarbon and mono, braid is the most visible, which it makes sense. It's super strong and it's woven together. Now, you can combat that, guys. First off, you can use the braid and then use fluorocarbon with a leader, and then you got the best of both worlds. You got the strength, and then also you have fluorocarbon, which bats can't see. That is ways that some guys get around the visibility of braid. Now though, for real, if you're fishing muddy and stained water, it may not be quite as much of an issue with using braid. Now let's get into the next one. Braid is loud. If you're fishing beside somebody and they got braid on, you know it. You can hear it going through the guides.
Yeah.
That bzzz sound, that's braid. It's a little bit louder, but some brands are trying to work to come up with some lines that's going to be a little bit louder, like the Super Slick. Now, I hear pros and cons with that line. I hear it's quieter, but it doesn't cast as far. You always have pros and cons. Next, braid is expensive, guys. You get all these great perks. Be prepared to pay a little bit more money. Now, you can do things to combat that. You actually can use like a mono backing and then put braid on it too. That helps. Anything that saves some money when it comes to this game of fishing. So just use your mono as a backing, then put braid on to fill up the rest of your spool. That helps too. Now, the biggest drawback of braid to me probably is wind knots. That's the worst thing ever, guys. When you have a $20 spool of line on your reel, you launch your bait out there and you get a knot halfway down there. Hopefully, crossing your fingers, you can get it out. Nothing's worse than having a wind knot or a backlash with $20 braid. So that is some of the drawbacks of using braid. Great line. It has its place, guys. If you're fishing frogs and nasty stuff, use braid. Your chances of getting that fish in are going to be much higher. So let's wrap up this video and break down everything. All right, guys, I hope the information has helped you out. I just wanted to break down my thought process on how I select lines and what lines are going to benefit you the most in certain scenarios. In the link below, I'll put my favorite type of lines that I like to use. Well, guys, you have a great day, tight lines, and we'll see you on the next video.